Right, this morning, we're joined by Scripps and national political editor Joe St. George from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for joining us today, Joe. First, how critical will Michigan be in this election?
Well, I think you just heard it there, right? I mean, Michigan is ground zero in this election. The number of electoral college votes, certainly more electoral college votes than a swing state like Wisconsin. It's why the vice presidential nominee, the Democratic vice presidential nominee, Kamala Harris, is making a stop in your area today. Democrats really need to mobilize African-American support across Michigan to try to beat out some of those numbers that they expect to see in rural parts of the state. Why did President Trump go to the Toledo area yesterday? Well, because he's able to tap into southern Michigan as well. So you guys are seeing it every single day. You're seeing it with the commercials. Michigan matters this year, perhaps more than ever.
Now, do the polls give us any insight into what voters here in Michigan are likely to do on Election Day, which way they're leaning?
Well, you know what? If you look at the Real Clear Politics average of polls, they're looking at all of the polls, they're averaging them together. It does show Biden with about a 4%, 5% lead in Michigan. But I'm good friends with your own Brian Abel, and he always reminds me when I'm on a Zoom call with him or chatting with him on a text message that President Trump outperformed the polls 4 years ago in Michigan. And if that holds true again, it's a very close race in Michigan as we talk. 6 weeks to go, guys. Hard to believe. 6 weeks to go until the election.
I know, it really is. And Joe, absentee voting obviously at the forefront right now with the coronavirus pandemic. The president flipping his messaging yesterday. He's now encouraging Michigan voters to vote by mail. How important will that be this November?
Well, look, I mean, this is an election where everyone's going to be voting, or at least a lot of people will be voting differently. I'm from that neck of the woods. I'm from across the state line in Ohio. My parents are voting by mail for the first time in their entire lifetime. So what he doesn't want is there to be some event the day of Election Day, a freak Michigan November snowstorm, and his supporters don't get to the polls. His advisors are saying, look, we'll take votes however we can get them. They would prefer them to be in person, as the president has said for weeks, but he will take them through the mailbox as well. Look, absentee voting, voting by mail is going to be a new part of this election process, and Michiganders are seeing with this election the ability to make an impact through these mail-in ballot options.
Right, Scripps national political editor Joe St. George joining us from Washington, D.C. this morning. Thank you so much, Joe, for your insights.